The Walt Disney Company's new movie is flopping even harder than most predicted. Hopper's down a massive amount, making only barely more than $20 million projected for this weekend. And that means when Mario comes out, this thing is losing hundreds of millions of dollars. We'll explain why and tell you why the media continues to lie on the other side. Folks, it's a beautiful day. It's a great day to be alive. Welcome back to the channel that continues to change the hearts and minds of Hollyweird one video at a time, simply by telling the truth with a capital T. As we dive in today, consider clicking the like button, drop a comment down below, let us know your thoughts, and off we go. Mainstream, lamestream, going extinct dinosaur media is desperate for you to believe that Hoppers is a real success, leaping out and taking over the box office. But leave no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, they're wrong, which, you know, is sort of a given, I know, but let's dive into just how wrong they might be. This time, it could be shocking. Out of Looper, Lisa Layman, don't know, but here's where we go with it. 5 reasons why Pixar's Hoppers dominated the box office. Now, folks, if you've been paying attention to this channel, you know that Hoppers, day to day, was actually defeated at the box office by Snow White. Rachel Zegler's Snow White outperformed Hoppers. Okay? So I'm sorry, mainstream media, we're not buying this. And now the floptacular has begun. Box office theory from Sean Robbins says, box office weekend forecast. Disney and Pixar's Hoppers will make $25 to $27 million to outbounce the field again. Well, congratulations to them. But there's a problem here. Let's read along. It says, fresh off Pixar's best debut for an original animated film in nearly 9 years with no new competition in immediate sight. Really, we'll talk about it. Hoppers is riding strong reception towards what should be a sturdy first chase weekend atop the box office. Again, more than 20% of K-12 schools will be out Friday and next Monday, adding to the film's advantages going forward, aka spring break is here to save the day. Now, not everybody is impressed with Hoppers, and real life fake wizard over here getting almost 220,000 views, claiming that the film is there to indoctrinate kids as an activist act of Hollyweird yet again. Folks, let's dive into why this thing is dying on the beaver vine. It says from Deadline by Anthony D'Alessandro, Hoppers hopping to 27 million weekend 2. Okay, what's that mean? How much is it going to have? Let's go through it. Spring break is still in session with 27% of colleges off and K-12 schools on break at 20% ComScore. This will keep Disney's Hoppers in a continued spring with a second weekend around 27 million after posting the best start for a Pixar original, blah, 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 blah. The Forest Animal movie will continue to hoard all the PLF screens, will count more IMAX showtimes in its second sesh. The comp here for Hoppers is another recent Talking Animals movie, Goat, which dipped 38% off a holiday weekend in its second frame. So they're basing it on that. Okay. Now, what this means, folks, is that Hoppers is headed for a second weekend where it has less than $90 million, the box office. That's right. Back to box office theory for a minute. Here's the list. Hoppers, here's the prediction. 39% drop, 27.7 million on the 3-day for the second weekend. That will put it at a projected domestic total on its second Sunday evening of $89.3 million. Now, that's a huge problem because the media is telling us that this thing is phenomenal. It's fantastic. It's a new IP that is taking off. Kids love the thing. They want the beeve. Well, the problem is, let's say that it doesn't have a drop at all in the next weekend after that, okay? Let's say there's no drop in weekend number 3, which seems impossible given that Project Hail Mary is coming out. But let's say it just holds. Even if it makes another 27 million, that puts it at around 120, right? If you include the rest of the week and all that, still it puts it around 120. And if you double it and say, okay, well, add in the international, which has been about a 1-to-1 so far, where does that put you? $240 million. $240 million after week 3 doesn't even begin to cover the cost of making the thing, the production budget plus the advertising, let alone the fact that Disney only gets half back from the theaters. This movie needs $500 million to break even, $500 million by our estimation. And we're bragging and celebrating that it's going to be at 240 after 3 weeks. And then Mario's here, and that's going to wipe it off the floor of the theaters. So this thing is toast. This is a giant flop. And they're pretending that it's not. Culture, I go to you first on this one. Why do you think the media is so determined to try to say this is great when clearly this is a very poorly performing financial failure for Disney, And when do they make the pivot to admit otherwise?
I really, honestly, I don't know that they'll ever make the pivot. I don't think they'll actually cover the real story. I think that they largely just ignore the things that they want to go away after a period of time. They've been in full promotion mode of this. They're trying to save their friends over at Pixar, and they still think that, you know, they're going to get the alignment that goes against the family narrative of Disney with the Pixar material. So this film was not absent messaging. There was plenty of, you know, echo garbage in there amongst other stuff. And look, it was frankly very hollow way to tell a story that's been told over and over and over again. So when will the media change? They won't. The mainstream media, as you call it, or I call them the dinosaurs, their time is past, and they just are trying to keep what little base of regulars they have that will, you know, agree with them materially on the politics of it all, and support them until they are no longer keeping their jobs. So, yeah.
Nat, if we look at what Looper says for reasons that this is doing so phenomenally well, even though it's not, it says an emphasis on cuddly animals. Okay. Is that all it takes now? Lightyear, it says, focused on explosions and adult humans. Elemental centered on personified elements like water and fire. Elio was another sci-fi animated movie with human and non-human protagonists. Compared to these 2020s Pixar features, Hoppers had a leg up in focusing on cuddly beavers and other woodland critters. But Nat, it's performing just like those other movies. It's performing at the same level as these other films. The mainstream media is pretending this is something that it is not. And all you have to do is go look at the numbers and see, oh, wait, we're apples to apples right now. This is the same thing we've seen in the past.
I don't think they can admit to failure, at least not quite just yet, or as culture says, I don't think ever. And it's funny because they did similar things when they were talking about Snow White, and they also said that they were cuddly animals in Snow White, and that's why kids were liking it. I remember that bit.
Get those stinking dwarfs out of there, though, Nat. Don't let anybody with dwarfism actually be in the movie.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think they'll just kind of ride this, let this pass, and eventually when it gets to Disney Plus, they'll say that it's doing great again. That's the tactic.
Yes, it'll be the biggest thing released on Disney Plus, you know, in the last 3 days or something like that. Kara, we don't have to pretend much longer. When Mario comes out, we're going to have a real kids film that's really going to make a lot of money. Estimates right now have it making north of $1.5 billion, could make up to $1.7 billion. That's going to be real success, and we don't have to piddle down here with $27 million in second weekends. We can actually talk about something that is winning over the culture, and it's going to win it over because it's what everybody wants. So what do you think is going to be the way they handle this when Hoppers is swept out of the theaters by Mario?
Ooh, I think they'll probably still stick to that. Oh, we did great. It's good. Everything's fine. I think they're going to completely ignore that Mario is even going on. And they're probably going to get it onto Disney Plus as quickly as they possibly can, because they know that the revenue for the movie is going to be close to none as soon as Mario hits the theaters.
I think it's going to get wiped out. Jonas, I don't think that this campaign has worked. I think they should probably drop this in the future. The strategy of pretending something's doing well when it's not didn't seem to move it didn't move the needle. If their idea was, you know, maybe the word went out, say nothing negative about this movie. Nothing negative is allowed. Anything that we do, it's amplified online by X and YouTube. So just everything's positive. That has led us to look at them as if they're living in the Truman Show or something.
Yeah, it's a funny thing when a movie gets a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I've not met anyone who doesn't have a vested interest in this that is actually talking about the movie. There are people that I trust that are actual critics that saw it early and said it's meh, it's not great. I'm not trying to call anybody out here, but it's very strange when the Metacritic is 76 and the Rotten Tomatoes is so high and the quote unquote verified audience score is through the roof, and nobody is really talking about or quoting the movie. The only thing I've seen come out of here is the Tom the Lizard.
Boy, they've tried hard on Tom the Lizard.
They really have.
They put him in Fortnite.
Right. And that is something that doesn't have anything to do with the movie itself. It's a meme, then that's great. But there are horrible movies that have great memes out of them. I don't think that this is a movie that we're going to be talking about in 1 year. You don't hear them saying, oh, we're going to do Hoppers 2, which would actually be the indication that they think that this was a success.
By the way, Hoppers on Criticless, 69%.
Yeah, it's not.
Well,
Yeah, it's
actually 69%, or do they even reached the threshold where people are watching this enough to put out an official? Is it 69?
Yeah, that's what it says. 69, rad. But 69 is not.
But how many? Scroll down just a minute to see how many reviews. The last time I looked, it was 12, 14.
Right. Very few people actually going to see it.
Okay, so I saw this movie, and I'm just gonna say there's nothing positive here, and that stupid lizard thing's in there for like 30 seconds, so I have no idea why people care about that.
He's Timu Kermit culture. He's Timu Kermit.
I have to ask a question because we do a lot of analysis, and we have a brilliant bunch of folks here today. I'm just gonna say, now compare and contrast this with the journalist reaction to Scream 7. Which is currently sitting at 150 million with its it's
here you go with your facts again. Here you go with your facts.
I'm just saying that you have a horror movie which is limited in audience because it's rated R. You had it open to $63 million just to begin with. And it's added to that total. In fact, it was in second place behind this stupid movie in its second weekend. And the Hoppers obviously jumped or hopped to first. There you go. There's your lame joke. And internationally, again, this film is sitting at over $151 million. And you should have a film that has a broader appeal and the ability to look at. You have more people look at it. You should have far bigger numbers than this. I mean, the thing they had to go back in time to compare it to, and we've talked about this before, was Coco, the last remnants of what Lasseter left behind. And so what's the coverage of Scream? Scream is a political mess around it, and yet it's still overperformed, and you get ridiculous Rotten Tomatoes, reviews and everything else. And compare and contrast that. What appeals to the audience is certainly not in line with the critics, and the media just they dive into everything they can that's political for no reason. We should be looking at what's profitable, what's enjoyable.
Also good for Scream or Scary Movie 7, is it? Which
Scream 7.
Scream 7. Scary Movie 6. What's the scary movie that's coming out this year?
Oh, from the weigh-ins? I don't know. I think it's 6.
Good for them that Scream has a movie that is performing so well, and they're doing the parody of it. That's not something that you can just say, we're going to rush this out. I mean, of all the movies that could be rushed, yeah, Scary Movie is probably one of them. But that's a big hit for comedy that's coming up that I think it's going to do well, because it doesn't have to be that good to do well. But looking at all of this, Disney right now needs this headline to be, this is the best opening for an original since Coco. But if you adjust for inflation, Coco would have been about 75 million, I think.
Well,
in domestic.
It's the since Coco, Jonas. It actually, even not adjusted for inflation, it loses to Coco. It's just humiliating when you do adjust for inflation, and it actually loses to almost all the other films that they're trying to claim that it's beat once you adjust for inflation. It's really, really bad. This is adjusted for inflation and day to day, because remember, they threw an extra day into previews just for the heck of it. Once you adjust for inflation, you count 4 days instead of 3. This thing is performing the second worst of all Pixar debuts. It's just atrociously bad. But the media determined they're going to save that beaver, and we just won't let them. We just won't let them. It is such fun getting to spend time together, folks, but we have come to the end of yet another video. Well, that makes the mainstream scratch their heads, pull their hair out, and wonder, how is it we continue to do what we do? But you know what we do this for? It's for you. To keep bringing all the knowledge of entertainment, explaining what's going on in Hollyweird each and every day. And you can help us continue on that way by clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It's the notification bell. Share this out on your favorite social media platforms, and we would love to have you drop a comment right on down below. Share your thoughts because, well, your thoughts truly do matter, and we mean it. As we get ready to say goodbye, we end with the common refrain. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.